In the grim darkness of the far future, where galaxies burn and empires crumble, one force stands resolute: the Chaos Space Marines. Let's go! Welcome, Dark Warriors, back to the Miniatures Tavern. My name is Watts, and today we journey through the shadows and the flames of the Warhammer 40K universe and delve into the depths of heresy and power, exploring the formidable might of the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol. Now, the name of the original Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol is called the Dark Zealots, and the unit composition is the following. You get one Galaron the Pious, you get 10 Legionaries, you get 5 Havocs, and you get 1 Hellbrute. The original Combat Patrol box comes in at 17 models total, and you're looking at 405 points. Now, the price for the box, Games Workshop, this box is no longer available. On Amazon, this box is not available, but I was able to find some on eBay for $136. So not that bad. This is a great little box. Actually thinking about getting into Chaos Space Marines myself, and I'm kind of on the fence whether I want to go this route or the new box route, but I really like these models better than the newer models, so I'm still up in the air for that. So let's go ahead and jump in and see how we're going to equip the Dark Zealots for battles of Combat Patrol on the battlefield. Galaron the Pious, he has 3 models. It's him and his retinue. Galaron the Pious is going to be equipped with a bolt pistol and an accursed Corsaeus. Then he's going to get 2 Dark Disciples that are equipped with close combat weapons. In your Legionaries, this is going to be the meat and potatoes of this box. You get 10 models. 1 Aspiring Champion is going to be equipped with a plasma pistol and an accursed weapon. 4 Legionaries are equipped with bolt pistol, bolt gun, and close combat weapon. 2 Legionaries are equipped with bolt pistol, Astartes chainsword. 1 Legionary is equipped with a bolt pistol, Astartes chainsword, and a chaos icon. 1 Legionary is going to be equipped with a bolt pistol, a heavy bolter, and a close combat weapon. And the last Legionary is going to be equipped with bolt pistol, melt-a-gun, and close combat weapon. Next up, you got 5 Havoc models. 1 Havoc Champion is going to be equipped with a plasma gun and an Astartes chainsword. Their other Havoc is going to be equipped with a heavy bolter and a close combat weapon. Another Havoc is going to be equipped with a Havoc las cannon and a close combat weapon. The 4th one is going to be equipped with a Havoc missile launcher and a close combat weapon. And finally, the 5th and last Havoc is going to be equipped with a Havoc Reaper chain cannon and a close combat weapon. And finally, the 1 Hellbrute, he is going to be equipped with a Hellbrute plasma cannon and a Hellbrute hammer. Let's roll on over to Army Rules, Abilities, and Enhancements. The Army Rule is up first. So the Army Rule for the Combat Patrol Dark Zealots box is going to be Dark Packs. Each time a unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Pact. If it does, select one of the following abilities for that unit's weapons to gain until the end of the phase. You can give them Lethal Hits or Sustained Hits 1. Each time a unit makes a Dark Pact, after it has resolved its attacks, it must take a leadership test. If that test is failed, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So this is the first Army Rule that has a negative consequence that we've encountered in our Combat Patrol reviews. So you get Dark Pacts. You can elect to take a Dark Pact. I don't think you have to take one. But if you do, and you give your unit the enhancement, you have to take a leadership test, and if that test has failed, that unit is going to suffer D3 mortal wounds. So right away, your actions are going to have consequences. So maybe you just reserve Dark Pacts when you're in a pinch, or you need that little extra punch, or that little extra kapow to deal with your opponent's units. Super interesting. I kind of like it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 enhancements that we can put on Galeron the Pious. The first enhancement is called Hateful Extortion. At the start of the first battle round, select 1 enemy unit. Until the end of the battle, each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit on a critical wound, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. That's pretty cool. So if you roll 6s at the start of the first battle round, you're going to select 1 enemy unit, and until the end of the battle, it's going to improve the armor penetration characteristic against that target by 1. Now, one thing that I see here is that it has to be selected at the start of the first battle round, and it's till the end of the battle. So does that mean once you destroy that target, you can no longer use the enhancement? Like, you can't pick another unit? Doesn't say you can, so I'm gonna tend to believe that it's kind of like a one and done. So kind of keep that in mind. The optional enhancement is called Infernal Blessing, and the bearer has the Feel No Pain 5-up ability. These enhancements are okay. They're not the best. You know, you have an enhancement that is one and done for a unit, and then you have an enhancement that only affects your warlord. So they're okay. I'm not too crazy about them. Way more excited about Dark Pacts than I am about the enhancements, but that's the enhancements that you have for this Combat Patrol box. And I just want to throw out there, I am not a Chaos Space Marine expert, so if you play Chaos Space Marines and you play this Combat Patrol army, if I got the enhancements wrong, especially the first one, Hateful Extortion, please leave us a note in the comments for some clarification. I'm never opposed to calling a judge or calling in an expert, and I think clarification would definitely help the community. So please, if it's different, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate your insight. So let's move on to objectives. Now, your secondary objectives, you have the choice of 2. You can pick one. The default secondary objective is called Champion of the Dark Gods. And at the end of each phase, you score 3 victory points if your Dark Apostle model destroyed 1 or more enemy models that phase. Or you can take Idolatrous Despoilers. At the end of your opponent's turn, you score 4 VP if 1 or more units from your army, excluding Battle Shock units, are wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. So you got one that's kind of dependent on your warlord, your war master, the Dark Apostle. He has to kill models. He has to at least destroy 1 or more. And then you have another one that's more recon. It's more get across the board, and you're going to score VP 4 VP if 1 or more units from your army are wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. So pretty typical secondaries here, nothing out of the ordinary, kind of run-of-the-mill. We see these in other kind of Combat Patrol boxes. So pretty good here, you know, pretty standard. We'll call this standard. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the stratagems. Now remember, a stratagem is just a way that you can burn a command point to give your army a little bit of a leg up, a little bit of an advantage against your opponent during the battle. So the first stratagem is Empiric Rights, and it looks like this is going to happen in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after the enemy unit has selected its targets. And what that's going to do is until the end of the phase, models in your unit have a 4-up invulnerable save. It's really going to add some durability to your units. I always like to see stuff like that. That's good. In these small games of Combat Patrol, it's all about survivability and how long can you last on the battlefield, so that's pretty nice. The next stratagem for 1 CP, and Empiric Rights is 1 CP as well. The second one is called Bitter Blows. This happens in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, If that model has not fought this phase, roll 1d6. On a 4-up, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, and then it's removed from play. So basically, fight on death. So for 1 command point, if you're up against like your opponent's leader or maybe a tougher unit, and you really like botched your turn, but you want to make sure that you leave an impression before you go, you can blow 1 CP for bitter blows. And finally, the third stratagem is called malicious volleys, and this is going to happen in your shooting phase, and the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If that attack targets a unit that is below half strength, you can re-roll the hit roll instead. So it's going to allow you to re-roll 1s, and then when your unit loses enough models to be below half strength, you're going to be able to re-roll all your hit rolls. So survivability is built in. That's pretty good. So it looks like the stratagems for Chaos Space Marines is all about durability, survivability, and inflicting damage before you're removed from the board. So pretty decent stratagems. I like these. Definitely makes up for the secondaries. Would work well with dark packs. Just keep that in mind. You can add lethal or sustained on top of these. If you decide to take the dark pack, you're just going to have to take that leadership role, that leadership test. You're going to have to roll for that and hopefully pass. But these are pretty decent. These are nice. And let's get into the unit composition and unit breakdown. First off, we have Galaron the Pious. Now, he's going to move 6 inches. His toughness is 4. He saves on a 3. He has 4 wounds. His leadership is 5. And his objective control is 1. And you can see his stats if you run him as a Dark Apostle or a Dark Disciple, but we want him as Galaron the Pious. He has a 4-up invul save. He's got a bolt pistol. It's got a 12-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. His melee weapons, he's got the accursed Corsius. He's got 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP -1, 2 damage. And he is the leader. He is the warlord of your combat patrol army, and he can be attached to the legionaries. His abilities, he's the leader. He has dark pacts. He's got dark zealotry. While this unit is leading a unit and contains Galaron the Pious model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. So that's pretty cool. He's going to let you wound a little easier. And then don't forget, you have your dark packs and you have your stratagems that you can use to kind of beef that up a little bit more. Speaking of legionaries, they're going to be up next. They have a 6-inch movement, toughness 4. They save on 3s. They have 2 wounds apiece. Their leadership characteristic is 6, and they have 2 objective control points each. Let's break down the weapons. The bolt pistol is a pistol tag, so remember, you can shoot pistols even if you're in engagement range and engaged in combat. You can still shoot your pistol. 12-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. The bolt gun has a 24-inch range, 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Your heavy bolter is heavy, that makes sense, which means that if you don't move, you're going to be able to add 1 to the ballistic skill, which is pretty nice, and it has sustained hits 1, so for every 6 you roll, you're going to pick up an extra hit. The range is 36 inches. You got 3 attacks, hitting on 4s or 3s if they stand still. Strength 5, AP -1, damage 2. And then you have the Melta gun with a 12-inch range, but if you're within 6 inches, you're going to add 2 more to the final damage. The attack is 1. The ballistic skill is 3. It's hitting on 3s. Strength 9, AP -4. D6 damage if you're 12 inches away, D6 plus 2 if you're 6 inches away, and super important to always keep in mind, that 2 is added after all negative modifiers or any kind of modifiers are applied. So what that's going to do is if you have a opponent with a unit that decreases damage, that 2 is applied after the original damage is decreased. Next up, we have Plasma Pistol, standard, 12 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 7, AP -2, damage 1. And then if you supercharge that Plasma Pistol, it is hazardous, 12 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 8, AP -3, damage 2, but you will have to roll a hazardous check. And because these are legionaries and just your standard infantry battle line units, if you roll a 1 during that hazardous check, that model is going to be destroyed. Melee weapons, you got accursed weapons. They have 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP -2, damage 1. Your chain swords, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1. And finally, close combat weapon or fisticuffs. You've got 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Now, they do have an ability called Patrol Squads. You do get 10 of these models, but before the battle, at the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, which is basically when you're kind of putting all your models into units and stuff like that, you can split these models into 2 units containing 5 models apiece. And their ability is Dark Pacts. Next up, we got the Havocs. They're going to move 5 inches. Their toughness is 5. Their save is 3. They have 2 wounds apiece. Their leadership is 6. And their objective control is 1. Let's run down the weapon profiles. You have a Havoc Heavy Bolter. That's going to give you an extra hit. Sustained hits 1 every time you roll a 6. 36-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP -1, damage 2. The Havoc Las Cannon, 48-inch range, so you're basically going to be able to shoot the board. 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 12, AP -3, and damage D6 +1. That looks like a pretty hard hitter right there. The Havoc Missile Launcher, if you decide to go frag, it does have the blast keyword, which means for every 5 models, you're going to get an additional attack. Their attacks are D6, so you're going to roll 1 dice, whatever the number shows. That's the number of attacks you're going to get. If you're shooting into 5 or more models, you're going to get 1 extra 1 for the blast. Hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. If you decide to shoot the crack missile, 48 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 9, AP -2, D6 damage. So you probably want to use crack against some tougher units. Your opponent's units that have some higher toughness. They're a little harder to take down. Might want to do crack. Next up, you have the Havoc Reaper Chain Cannon. This 24 inches, 8 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 0, damage 1. And then the Plasma Gun. Now, the Plasma Gun is Rapid Fire 1. That's 24 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 7, AP -2, damage 1. And then if you supercharge that, it's going to be hazardous and rapid fire. 24 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 8, AP -3, damage 2. Rapid fire means you just get an extra shot. So instead of 1 attack, it'll be 2 attacks if you're within 12 inches. Melee weapons, the chainsword, you get 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1. And then you have the close combat weapon or fisticuffs, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Their only ability is Dark Pact, so that is them. And they are your infantry and heavy hitters. So these and the legionaries are your workhorses. Finally, we have the Hellbrute. He moves 6 inches. He is a chonky boy. He's got a toughness of 9. He saves on a 2. He's got 8 wounds. His leadership characteristic is 6. And he has 3 objective control points. His ranged weapon, the Hellbrute Plasma Cannon, is blast and hazardous. So you're going to pick up an extra attack. If you're blasting or shooting into a unit with 5 or more models, you get 1 attack for every 5. Range is 36 inches. Attacks is D3. Hitting on 3s. Strength 8. AP -3. Damage 3. So it's pretty nice. He hits really hard. And then his hammer gets 5 attacks. He's hitting on 4s, strength 14, AP -3, and the damage is D6 +1. So this guy is a brute. He's a hell brute. His abilities are Deadly Demise 1, which means when he is destroyed, you're going to roll a 1 dice. And on a 6 up, all units within 6 inches of this model are going to suffer 1 mortal wound. And his faction is Dark Pax. He has Dark Pax as well. So there you go. Oh, and another note, he is tagged as a vehicle, which means that he can shoot in combat. So if he's in combat, he's going to be able to shoot in or out of combat at a -1 to hit. There you go. Those are the units. And finally, guys, let's take a look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol box. First up are the strengths: versatile combat capability. These Chaos Space Marines, especially this Combat Patrol box, includes a variety of units that are really capable of engaging in both close combat and ranged firefights. And this balance really makes the force adaptable to different combat scenarios and willing and able to adapt during your battle. Next up, we have the leadership and morale boosts that Galeron the Pious is going to bring to the table. Units really benefit from enhanced morale and combat effectiveness through his abilities such as Dark Zealotry, which improves the melee attack wound rolls. Finally, we have powerful units and equipment. The inclusion of units like the Havocs with the heavy weapons and the Hellbrute with the plasma cannon and the Hammer really provides significant firepower and close combat strength. He is a Hellbrute, no doubt. And finally, the special abilities and enhancements. Your units can make Dark Pacts for powerful temporary abilities like Lethal Hits or Sustained Hits 1. Enhancements such as Hateful Extortion and Infernal Blessing provide additional tactical advantages. Next up, we're going to take a look at the weaknesses. One weakness right off the bat is the leadership test risks, and we've talked about this. Making Dark Pacts is going to come with the risk of suffering mortal wounds if a leadership test is failed, which can potentially weaken not only the unit, but also your army over time. So you probably want to use that kind of sparingly. I don't know. Maybe you're crazy and silly like that. You just want to Dark Pact everything. Limited unit numbers. Now, this weakness is probably, it affects every Combat Patrol box, but that's just the way that the games are set up. The Combat Patrol box includes a fixed number of units, which might be insufficient in larger scale battles compared to other armies with more numerous forces. World Eaters gets 26 models, but I'm not bitter. And finally, they're vulnerable to high damage. Despite the strong offensive capabilities of the box, some units, like the Legionaries, have standard defense stats, like a 3 save, which might not withstand high damage or high AP attacks effectively. Opportunities for the box: strategic flexibility is number one. The ability to split the Legionaries into 2 units really provides flexibility in deployment and tactical maneuvers, which allows you to bring and have varied strategies based on the battlefield situation. You can adapt as the battle unfolds right before your eyes in real time. That is super useful. Next up, we got synergy with other Chaos forces. But every Combat Patrol is like this. If you play the box, you really like the box, you want to expand your forces, these units are easily absorbed into larger armies. No, you're not going to have any problems there. And then your secondary objectives, the optional secondary objectives like Idolatrous Despoilers, that's going to provide you additional ways to score victory points, which can be tailored to specific battle scenarios for tactical advantage. So you got some really decent opportunities with this army and for this box. And finally, let's take a look at the threats. Opponent's adaptability is the number one threat. Opponents familiar with the Chaos Space Marines capabilities might develop counter strategies to neutralize key units or exploit weaknesses in leadership tests. High dependency on leadership is definitely a threat. The effectiveness of the force heavily relies on successful leadership tests and the presence of the Dark Apostle, making this box a little vulnerable if these elements are compromised. And finally, the third threat is specialized opponents. Armies with specialized units designed to counter heavy infantry vehicles can pose a significant threat to the Chaos Space Marines' effectiveness. Guys, this SWOT analysis outlines the key aspects of the Chaos Space Marines combat patrol box, and I hope it has provided you insights into the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats based on my provided information. And that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the review of the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol box. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. This video was requested, so thank you so much for requesting this. If you have an army that you would like me to cover, please leave me a note in the comments. I will be more than happy to cover that army for you. Do you like this box? Let me know in the comments. Do you play this box? Let me know in the comments. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Win with Chaos Space Marines is on the horizon, so stay tuned for that. Again, my name is Watts. Thanks for checking us out, and I will see you in the next video.